Hello, I'm Diana Marzalek with PRovoke Media, recording our PRovoke podcast today from Golin's beautiful downtown Chicago headquarters in the Merchandise Mart. With us is Jeff Beringer, Golin's Chief AI Officer. I'm happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
And I think we're going to talk about AI.
Sounds good. My favorite topic.
Well, I was thinking, so this is a new role. It's a big role, being Chief AI Officer. You were telling me you come from traditional PR. You've worked in digital. To make this leap, you must really like AI.
I do. I've been working in AI, as have a lot of people at our agency for several years now. But the pace of change happening around us is so significant, and I was really excited to spend all of my time working with great colleagues, figuring out how does this make us better at what we do for clients every day.
Have you figured that out yet?
Nope. No.
Okay.
But we're
I'd be
working
concerned
on
if
it.
you
We're
said
working
yes.
on it.
Because
No, we're working on it. We're making progress.
And as soon as you figure it out, there's probably something else to figure out.
Yeah, we've set an ambition, a grand ambition, to be a fully AI integrated agency by 2026. It is a lot of change in a short period of time. But we view that as a bit of a milestone. By that point, we want everybody in our agency to benefit from AI in their role, helping them do their jobs better. But technology is going to continue to change, and how we use it will continue to change as practitioners. So we view 2026 as a milestone in a journey that will probably never end.
When you think of 2026, though, so today I'm walking into this office, everyone's doing their job. What is different in 2026? What does 2026 look like?
Well, hopefully there are more smiles on all those people in the offices.
Yeah, they're not
that
looking
you
so
see
happy.
out there.
Very happy. Very happy place.
I think if we're successful in our transformation, the people that work at our agency will be more satisfied in the work that they do. AI can be a great assistant to people. We view it as a tool to help us do better work, but our ambition is not to replace the amazing people that work in this company with servers. Right. We're trying to equip people to do their best. And so my hope is, what looks different in this office is that people are more content in their jobs. They're doing work that they can be even more proud of every single day. We've had a lot of great years as an agency right now. We're on a bit of a high, and winning lots of awards and lots of great clients and things like that. But we really feel like we're at a place where we need to transform to be the best agency we can be for the next decade, not just the next year or so.
And you want to be the first fully AI integrated agency, correct?
We do.
Is that because are you setting a model for the industry? No one else has declared it?
No, it's
all
a
of
good
the
question.
above?
I mean, there's not an agency that exists today that isn't thinking about the things that we're thinking about, I would hope. We have just focused our entire agency on this transformation, and we know it's a team sport. It's going to take everybody in this agency. So our entire executive leadership team is very engaged in our transformation, and everybody on our leadership team has a role. But every single person who works in this company has a role too, to discover how their work may change and their work gets done in different ways using new technologies. We're all figuring this out together. Now we're obviously, we have a transformation plan in place, and we're working through that plan. But there's a lot we don't yet know, and we're still discovering as we go. So it takes all of us. But if our people are happier in their jobs by 2026, if the quality of our work continues to improve, then we've done our job, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was told before we started today that 4 out of 5 Golin staffers are already using AI in their daily work.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
We did a survey late last year, and this was still reasonably early on in our transformation. And we asked employees how much they're using AI on a day-to-day basis, how much are they, how many of them, first of all, have ever used AI for client work at all. And about 82% of our employee population as of last year had used AI in their work. About half of our employees are using it every single day. And as you can imagine, everybody's at a little bit of a different journey. Some people are just starting with AI and they're using it for really basic tasks, things that save them a little bit of time here and there. Others are more advanced users, and really they're focused on how AI improves efficacy, allows them to do something they couldn't do without it. So we're trying to help everybody.
To elevate that. But when we look at that number, and I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out myself, is this something though then that happened organically? If everybody's at a different spot using it different ways, is this still everybody's kind of testing out their own? I know you have a plan.
Sure.
I have
Yeah.
no doubt in your plan. But at this stage, when you talk about 4 out of 5 people, it's like I play around with the different platforms and with what works. Is that the way things were moving?
There's definitely an organic aspect of this. AI is not just transforming people's lives at work. It's transforming their lives outside of work.
Right.
People are figuring out what to make at Thanksgiving dinner with AI now. So that has absolutely been helpful in helping people sort of understand the promise or potential of technology in the workplace by what's happening outside of it. But we've also put a lot of programs in place to help people along the way. So, for example, we've recently stood up an entire AI learning management platform that is totally focused on helping people increase their maturity level, their AI maturity level. So it starts with basics, foundations, as you could imagine, things like learning how to prompt and our own policies and guidelines and ethics around use of AI. But very quickly, it focuses more on application of AI in individual roles. So if you're a creator, how can AI help you do that work better? If you do research at the agency, we have training modules on that. So we're really trying to help people learn AI in the context of their job and in the flow of work too, because there's no substitute for learning than doing. And so that's an important part of what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because here you are, it's like the full steam ahead, doing AI, everyone's using AI, or you want it to be fully integrated. And then I speak with agencies that even now are very hesitant, that they're still very cautious, still very regulated, don't want to put anything out that's AI. I don't know I guess I use it but as a suggestion, but do you have those concerns that the hesitancy about it at all?
I wouldn't say hesitancy. We are cautious and we're responsible in the way that we're applying AI. But it's interesting. Just the conversations we've had with clients have changed dramatically in the last year. A year ago, clients were asking us to help them understand the possibilities and inspire them with what could come next with AI. That has changed very quickly to I want better results and I want them tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's all about application to get to better outcomes. And so we are very focused on achieving that for clients. How do we integrate it into the work we're doing, they're paying us to do, so that work is better and delivers even better results for them. So we're not focused necessarily on what AI might do for our business 10 years from now, because none of us know yet.
Right.
Anybody who tells you is making it up. We're focused on the near term and what we can do now to deliver better results for our clients.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, it is stepping up the pressure on the agencies because the client is wanting better results. But at the same time, you're getting the tools to actually deliver those results. I mean, the pressure, does it weigh out? I mean, you have pressure. Is there a certain sense of unobtainable expectations that come with AI?
I think there are high expectations. But I also think, there are a lot of clients too that have been licensing for AI tools, and many of them have not seen great results yet.
Okay.
They're waiting to see not just efficiency gains, but they're hoping to see the work quality get better. We're making sure through our plans that both those things take place. We are much more focused on efficacy than we are efficiency.
Okay.
Everybody who uses AI will naturally figure out ways to save time here and there. The most important part is, okay, what do you do with that time, that found time?
Right.
How do you reapply it to other parts of your business that are much more important? And we're figuring those answers out. So as an example, we ran a campaign for a client recently where we used AI to support, I think, 19 different aspects, 19 different tasks within the course of a campaign. And one of the things that we used AI to do was to help us speed up writing media backgrounders. So researching reporters, understanding what they write about, the questions they may ask, those kinds of things. AI is fabulous in helping us get to those answers faster. Time was saved there that we then reapplied to spend more of our hours actually pitching stories to generate more coverage for the client. So in the end, things that are a bit more remedial that don't directly relate to outcomes or outputs, we can shift our time in meaningful ways. So that's a big important part of it.
So you mentioned the client relationship. I know, tell us about the partnership you had with Grubhub.
Yeah.
Which was, I will let you tell us what it was.
Sure.
But
Sure. Grubhub's a great client of the agency, and we have great client partners who were very interested in learning, not from us, but with us. And so last year, we were heading into planning and development of the biggest campaign they were executing of the year. We were executing together. And we decided to partner up to integrate AI across the spectrum of what we were doing, all the way from planning, research, creative, execution through measurement. And it was an interesting partnership because it's not from what you might expect from an agency-client relationship, where the agency has to have all the answers and be totally buttoned up in every conversation. We went into this saying, we're going to partner, we're going to learn, we're going to experiment, we're going to capture and chronicle what we learn. But we're going to talk about the goods and the bads together. And not everything we did with AI was a huge success. There were failures along the way, but that notion of agency and client working together to learn, number one, it built trust among each other.
Right.
They knew how we were using technology in different ways. They knew the training that our employees were getting to use tools safely, responsibly, all those things. So they had trust in us, but more importantly, it built almost a culture of innovation and exploration that will serve us very well in this agency-client relationship in the future too, because AI is going to continue to change. There will be new ways for us to get work done and work done better. And now we have a construct for being able to very quickly integrate new ways of working together.
And how did that parlay into results for the client?
Great question. It was one of the most successful campaigns they've ever run, not solely because of AI. There was a great idea, human-focused idea at the center of this campaign and so on, but there were a lot of ways that, particularly in execution, AI helped us spend time on the things that really matter and that led to bigger results. You and I were talking a few minutes ago, all of us know that have worked in PR that personalization matters a lot. If you personalize a pitch when you're working with a media outlet, it's more likely that journalists will pay attention to the story you might be pitching them. So within the context of this campaign, we were able to use AI to simply create some personalized images of the stork that was a prominent figure in some of the campaign assets, actually sitting outside of the doors that some of these very journalists walk into in their newsrooms every day. So that when we sent the materials for this campaign, they saw the stork in the context of this door that they recognized every day. And guess what? We did A/B testing, and the journalists who got the personalized pitch, they paid more attention to it, and they were more likely to cover our story. That was one simple thing we were able to do in an hour of work that made a difference.
Well, it's interesting because you say that and how that appealed to journalists and grew the relationship, ultimately the coverage. And I've also heard that journalists can be highly suspect of information they're getting that they think is generated by AI. So how do you balance that? Does it depend on the specialty that you're pitching
100%.
to?
It's definitely who you're pitching, but it's also the what you're pitching. This is a really good example. The way we used AI with these journalists was to take a stork, which is a fictitious being, doesn't exist in nature. So us using AI to superimpose a fake, creature that doesn't actually exist in nature in front of a newsroom, we felt like, okay, they'll get the joke.
Right.
I think it is. You're bringing up an important part though, or an important point, because we can use AI in a million imaginative ways, but we should never be applying it in a way that may misconstrue what we're trying to do, or frankly, confuse or distract consumers or misinform them. And so we're very cautious about, especially in public-facing content, we're using AI to create. AI is wonderful as a thought partner and scripting and things like that, but sometimes, the actual production of assets, it's much better for us to go out and to film things on our own and use AI for editing and things like that in the background. But we're definitely very cautious about ever creating content that misleads anyone.
So it's still an augmenting of the work.
Yep.
In terms of the technology itself, there's also a debate that I understand is going on about whether to build or to rent.
Sure.
How much of the technology, how much do you invest time or energy in inventing the technology or in training somebody else's technology? How does that work?
Yeah. So where we start is identifying the most important problems to solve before we get to technology. And so we've spent time with experts inside of our agency, but also with clients, looking through client satisfaction studies and so on. What are the problems that we need to solve to make our work better? And then from there, then we look at the ways that technology might be able to assist. So we're not a technology company. We're a public relations firm that is run by really smart, experienced people. And while we have developers who work at Golin and build things, what we think clients really want is a great human partner that's assisted by great technology. Sometimes that technology may be things that we build inside with our own teams. More often than not, we're partnering with really great third parties. So we work with giant technology companies like Adobe and Microsoft and Anthropic. We're also working with smaller startups. And it's great to be able to bring the best technology to clients to solve problems. Our job is to figure out the problems to solve and how to solve them. And we can find the best technology partners to plug in against those solutions. So that's the approach we're taking. We're not trying to become a software company.
So as Chief AI Officer, are you taking is your job, your personal job, since this is a new role, do you take the big picture, the philosophical, the where are we going approach, as well as are you shopping for vendors? I mean, how far and wide can one person go?
Well, fortunately, I have a great team of people. I've added some dedicated resource to help me and the rest of our leadership team move faster. So we've hired a new global AI head of technology to help identify the right vendors, to develop technology ourselves if and when it makes sense, those kinds of things. We've hired in a full-time role on AI learning and development for the agency. So this person's helped us develop a learning management system and maturity levels and curriculum and content and so on. Recently, we've also added a full-time role around client integration. So the Grubhub is a great example of when we work together with clients that we can get to better results faster with AI assistance. We want to do that across every one of our client relationships at whatever speed and pace that our clients are comfortable with. So now I have a full-time person in a role working with our account leads around the world to be able to integrate AI in, share best practices, what's working with one client and another across our relationships so we can move faster.
And how amenable are clients by and large to that?
Most of them are.
Are they?
I mean, everybody is at a different pace. They have different ambitions. We work with clients in regulated industries.
Sure.
So some of them may be slower in uptake of AI in certain roles, but in general, fast forward a year, compared to this time last year, many more clients are really focused on application and they want to work together with us to apply AI in ways that just makes our work better.
And what about culturally, globally? What are you seeing differences in adoption or willing to adopt or?
Yeah, I mean, from a global perspective, tools are different in certain parts of the world. So as an example, all of our employees outside mainland China, they all have access to Microsoft Copilot, for example, as one of our AI tools. In China, we have different solutions because not just of language, but of technology issues and so on and so forth. That's one issue. In general, we did an employee survey, as I mentioned, late last year to understand AI use, but also people's questions, people's concerns, and those kinds of things. And it was surprising how consistent both the excitement and any of the fears were across geographies. I think everybody, sort of wonders, how might my job change as a result of this? And the fact of the matter is, all of our jobs will change, just as they changed with the advent of digital and lots of different things in our craft. So, but generally speaking, the factors that make people excited about AI and the things that may make them a little bit anxious too are pretty similar across geographies, at least in our employee population.
Is any of the initial anxiety that we were all dealing with in terms of losing jobs, and is any of that being allayed by actually having the AI working and functioning and being part of jobs?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, our strategy isn't to replace
Right.
human beings in this, it's to help them. What I will say is that we're already seeing that the benefits of AI for people who are new to their careers, the people that are leaning in and using our AI tools, that are engaging in our training the most, they are the ones who seemingly excel in their career and their personal capabilities as a professional faster. So in that respect, you see AI being almost a resource to supercharge your career and learn your craft better and so on. But we also have very experienced people who have been working in public relations for 20 or 30 years. And what's really interesting to see is, our younger population, people that may just be coming out of university into our craft, they may know the mechanics of using AI because they've been using it in school. They understand how to prompt, they understand the technology, but maybe they haven't had as many years of experience in the industry yet. And so they bring to the agency this awareness and ability to use technology, whereas our senior staffers bring years of experience as well. And those two things together work great and rub off on one another. So what's fascinating is, you might assume that some portions of our population might embrace AI differently or more, and think that perhaps some of our more senior staffers would not. That's not true at all.
No.
In fact, some of our most skilled users of AI are some of our most seasoned professionals who have been in their careers for 20 or 30 years. Because they know the right questions to ask. They know how to push back on AI when it doesn't give them the right answer, and they know how to make it better.
Interesting. Before we close with the big question of what excites you about AI, I have to ask you, do you have any trepidations, or what are your trepidations or concerns about AI?
I mean, as it relates to our agency, we've said this as a leadership team from the day we put our ambition on paper to be the first AI integrated agency. We want to make sure that everybody in our company can benefit from this. And certainly people in client-facing roles are already seeing it and feeling it. I think if you ask most people in our agency, their work is getting better as a result of it. But what I want to make sure is that nobody is left behind in this transformation. That's one piece of it. Number two is I want to make sure that we always continue to operate with integrity, with transparency with our clients. Our agency has been around a long time, and our founder Al Golin wrote a book about trust, and so there will be opportunities for people in our craft to take shortcuts with AI. We have to be really careful that we don't do that, because we're in the reputation business.
Right.
And when we make mistakes, businesses falter.
Okay, now's your moment. What excites you about AI? Besides everything we just talked about.
What excites me is just the serial reinvention that comes with it. That, like I said, we have a milestone date where we want to be operating across our full agency population with AI in every role by 2026. But I'm more excited about what's possible even beyond that. There are so many opportunities for us to rethink how work gets done and to solve problems that we haven't been able to solve in communications. I mean, public relations, the P stands for public, which, has largely meant over the years speaking to broad segments of the population. With AI, now we have the ability to save time and perhaps personalize communication to more people so it's more impactful to them. I mean, that's going to make our work better and more effective. So things like that I'm really excited about. I think, there are a lot of things that we need to be cautious about during these transformations, both as clients and agencies. But I think the good will far outweigh the negatives if we act responsibly on the way. So
okay, I'm sold.
I'm an optimist.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
and the
Yeah,
conversation, and
you.
good luck.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
But there are certain products that Golin has developed, right?
Right.
To answer specific needs.
Correct. Yep.
And what
there
are some of those?
and these are growing by the month, it seems. Last year, I think we introduced at least half a dozen new products and services for clients that solve different communications challenges. And these are things that we understood there was a need, an unmet need in the marketplace, or a problem that hadn't been solved before, but with the help of AI, we could solve it in creative new ways. And so, as a couple examples of that, it used to be in our craft that if you wanted to test a piece of content, you'd do focus groups and you'd spend tens of thousands of dollars and take a week and so on and so forth. We realized that AI could help us gather different kinds of inputs when people are seeing a piece of proposed content for the first time, and we can gather that data much faster and more efficiently so that we can improve that content before we ever publish it. So we set out and created a partnership with a really interesting, very small technology company that has amazing kit that can read your reaction, your emotional reaction through facial recognition, create data on that allows us to understand how you are emotionally reacting to a piece of content as you see it. And it gives us data that allows us to improve content before we publish it. We couldn't do that a year ago. And that's a new solution that we can provide to clients that helps us make sure our content is as best as it can be before we put it forward. Same thing with influencer vetting, for example. Brands are obviously very cautious about the company that they keep, and they want to really understand not just fitness of an influencer's audience with their brand, but also, are there issues from an influencer's past that could create reputational problems for a brand? We created a new influencer vetting and audience connection product called FitCheck, and it allows us to go back and vet influencers for brand safety, going back through 10 years of content they've created. We can do it in half the time and go back much deeper. That helps us save time on influencer vetting that we can spend with the talent making better content for the brand. So those are the trade-offs that we're creating. But again, those are a couple examples of AI solutions that we brought to market just in the last year. Yeah. That work? Okay.
Okay.
That was awesome. And then Keith, you mentioned did you want to just recap